Show of hands really quick. Who came here to Dominican Republic to learn something that you can apply in your business to help it grow to the next level? Hopefully everybody's hands are up. I applaud you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedules, out of your business, to travel this distance, to invest the money in yourselves, to learn and grow. And I know I'm the last man standing between you guys and the open bar. So I will make this commitment to you. If you guys remain engaged with me over the next, say, 30, 45 minutes as I'm talking about what I'm going to be talking about, I'll make sure that you get a lot of content, a lot of takeaway value that you can make sure that you apply in your business. And drinks are on me at the bar. How about that? So I'm sure many of you guys are probably wondering what a lot of people asked me last night when I had the opportunity to speak with some of you, which is, why are you here? What's the connection between college hunks hauling junk and Tutor Doctor? And the reason that Frank invited me to come speak with you guys is because, like you all, I'm a business owner. I started my business about 10 years ago when I was in college, and we are actually a franchise organization that targets many similar customers to the types of customers that you guys target. So there's probably a lot of relatable, transferable best practices that I've put into my business over the past 10 years that have allowed us to get to over 50 franchises, over 30 million in annual revenues that hopefully you guys will be able to take away with you as well. So there's a lot of people will ask me as a business owner, you know, when was that moment that you kind of said to yourself, we made it, you know, I made it. And of course, there's a lot of little bit of milestones and successes over the course of your business. But for me, and this might have been a little bit premature, I would say, but for me, it was when this Newsweek article ran. It was called College Kid to Millionaire. And it was about people who started businesses in college that had grown them to be very successful. And it was funny for me because it was almost like I had to pinch myself at the time that it came out, because there was a scroll bar along the bottom of the article, and it had Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, it had Michael Dell from Dell Computers, it had Fred Smith from FedEx, Bill Gates from Microsoft, and then it had Nick and Omar from College Hunks hauling junk. So there was probably a few zeros missing from our balance sheet at the time compared to those other tech moguls. But nevertheless, I think it was a testament to some of the things that we've applied to our business that's been around for, you know, an industry that's been around for hundreds of years. We're not in a tech industry. And just like you guys, we have lots of competitors that are out there. So what I'm going to be sharing with you guys this evening is really what are some of the keys that we've put in place in our business that have helped us get to the level of success that we have, that hopefully you guys can get to the level of success that you want to get to. Now, we've all heard this old cliche, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. Absolutely. We've heard that since we were young. And, of course, it's true. You can't go plant a money tree out in the front yard or the backyard and watch it sprout up and start bearing fruit. But what is our business? What is our business? Our business is something that can produce financial rewards for us even when we're not there physically working for the time and putting in the time. That's why you all bought the franchise, to become business owners that you could one day grow and have professional and personal freedoms. So I would assert that, you know, while you can't physically go out and plant a money tree, think of your business somewhat as a money tree analogy, and that's kind of the framework that I want to set this talk tonight. So first, I'm going to start from how we started our business. I was a senior in college. I was going into my senior year, and like most college kids, I was thinking to myself, I need a job. Probably like a lot of the students that you work with, I was brought up to study hard, get good grades, get a good job when I graduate from college. So all I could think about throughout my college career was I need to build up my resume, I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. Who here has seen the movie Office Space? So this was right around the time that the movie Office Space came out, and there were posters plastered all over campus that said, "Work sucks." So here I am, you know, a 21-year-old kid, and I'm thinking, okay, on the one hand, everybody's telling me I need to build up my skills so I can go out and get a job. On the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, you know, work sucks. So how do I bridge that gap? How do I bridge that gap? And I really had no idea in my head on how to do that. And the summer before my senior year of college, I got a great internship. It was at the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. It made my resume look great. And, like most internships, it was unpaid, right? Which is sort of like the only legalized form of slavery that exists today. So I was making copies, I was making charts, I was getting coffee, and it looked great on my resume, but I felt very unfulfilled that summer going to the cubicle every single day. I'm sure some of you have had the experience of the cubicle life before you went off to start your own businesses, and it was just very unfulfilling. It wasn't that I didn't necessarily like the environment of the cubicle, but I was just unfulfilled about the work that I was doing, and I was thinking to myself, there's got to be something else. Meanwhile, my best friend from high school, who I'd become best friends with in 10th grade, summer before our senior year of college that I had this internship, he was driving around town in a beat-up cargo van that his mom had lent him from her furniture store. And he was putting flyers in mailboxes that said, "College Hunks hauling junk." And he called me up one night. He said, "Nick, I need help. I need somebody to help me lift the other end of this couch." So I went out with him on the beat-up cargo van, and we hauled junk together that summer, driving around town in this beat-up cargo van, cleaning out people's garages, basements, attics, packing up and moving their stuff across town. This was in Washington, D.C. And so the light bulb went off for me for the very first time where I felt fulfilled. I felt a sense of enjoyment and passion as to what I was doing. It wasn't that I enjoyed picking up junk and moving it in a cargo van, but I enjoyed doing something for myself. I enjoyed the independence that I got from it. I enjoyed the dynamic elements of it, interacting with customers, seeing the joy that they had when stuff was cleared out of their garage and they could actually park their cars in it once again. And so we went back to school our senior year, not really thinking much of it. And Omar calls me up and he says, "Hey, I need you to help me write this business plan. I'm entering it into an entrepreneurship competition. First prize is $10,000, but the first 5 finishers get at least $500. And we could at least get the first $500 because, we have history that we can report. We did this last summer. So I helped Omar write the business plan. We entered it into the Rothschild Entrepreneurship Competition through the University of Miami. And lo and behold, we ended up winning first prize out of about 150 entries and $10,000. Yeah. So, of course, everybody says to us, "Oh, so that must have been that turning point for you. You took that $10,000, you invested it into the company, you started your business, and you guys were off to the races with College Hunks hauling junk." And back then, and I think for most college students, you're not thinking necessarily about next year. You're oftentimes thinking about next weekend. And so, the $10,000 at the University of Miami and South Beach as second semester seniors didn't quite make it to graduation, unfortunately. And believe it or not, we didn't actually start the business on a full scale after we graduated from college either. We were continuing to heed our parents' advice that we need to study hard, get good grades, get a good job, and get a career. So we both got great corporate jobs at a consulting company right out of college. Our parents were excited about it. They were telling all their friends and neighbors about it. But once again, I had that feeling in the pit of my stomach, that feeling of unfulfillment. So I emailed Omar and I said, "Listen, what's our timeline for quitting our jobs and starting this business on a full scale, taking the business plan off the shelf and making it a reality?" And he obviously was feeling the same thing because he emailed me back, all capital letters, "My timeline's right now, !" Let's do this. Now, you can imagine the raised eyebrows that our parents had when we came to them and told them our plan. They had just, struggled to help pay our way through college. We had just graduated with degrees. We had, won this business plan, which we put on our resume to help us get a job after we graduated. And we had these great corporate level, entry-level corporate positions that they were telling everybody about. And we were literally going to throw it away to start a trash hauling business called College Hunks Hauling Junk. But sure enough, we quit our jobs, and it was just the idea. Back to the tree analogy, it was like just a little bit of a seedling was the idea, and we needed to give it the conditions for it to grow and become successful. And I'll be honest with you guys, when we quit our jobs and started hauling junk full time, we did not know what we were doing. We did not know what we were doing. We were driving the truck. We had our 800 number routed to our cell phone, so we were answering the phone. We were hauling the junk ourselves. We were doing everything ourselves. Right? And we had the 800 number routed to our cell phones, people would call the 800 number to complain about my erratic driving. I'd be the one in the driver's seat talking to the customer on the other end saying, listen, we don't condone this type of driving in our business. I'm going to talk to those guys when they get back to the office. I'll make sure they're going to be a lot safer on the road. So, and all of a sudden, the fun, the excitement, the energy, and enthusiasm that we had felt when we first quit our jobs and started hauling junk full time, it started to diminish. We started to feel burnt out. We started to feel almost like slaves to our own business. If we weren't the ones waking up at 5, 6 in the morning to go empty out the truck, if we weren't the ones answering the phone, if we weren't the ones emptying out the truck, money wasn't being made, and our business wasn't going to be able to grow. And I would actually, believe it or not, start to dread hearing that phone ring. I would start to be like, oh, I got to talk to another customer. And so for me, our vision at the time was we want to grow. We want to become a successful business. And the first lesson that we really learned early on when we read this book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber is we've got to learn how to work on our business, not in our business. We've got to learn how to develop processes and systems and grow our business as business owners, not as professional junk haulers doing the day-to-day work, driving the truck, answering the phone, hauling the junk, going to the junkyard. Yes. Can you guys relate to this a little bit? Am I touching some nerves? Good. So that's the history of the business, and that was kind of the first lesson that we learned in our company is the notion of how do we continue. Now, of course, in any business, there's going to be elements of working in it. You can never always work 100% on it, but that was the mindset as we always wanted to approach is how can we continue to be working on our business, not just in it. Another early lesson that we learned in business is that we have to have a vision. We have to have a vision of where we're going. Stephen Covey, in his 7 Habits of Successful Individuals, he says, you start with the end in mind. Yesterday, when Frank laid out his State of the Union, he talked about the vision, the direction of where Tutor Doctors is going here in the next 3-5 years. And so for us, we had to lay out the vision for our business. We had to lay out a lofty, ideological, and brand vision of where we want to take our company. And it wasn't that we want to be the biggest and baddest junk haulers and movers. We wanted to become an iconic brand. We wanted to become a national brand. We wanted to become a brand that people recognized and adored and would go out of their way to do business with, like they do for Starbucks or Apple, or like the brand loyalist that Harley Davidson has that, people are wearing their T-shirts, don't even drive a motorcycle. So that was our brand vision, and it was a very lofty one early on. And so we also had a very ideological vision or purpose, where we wanted to be and how we wanted to be recognized as a company. We said our purpose as an organization is to move the world emotionally. So in our business, we have a very lofty opportunity. We help remove the stress of stuff. People have clutter that takes up space in their homes and their businesses. People have stuff that they need packed up and moved. And it's, moving next to death and divorce is the third most stressful thing in anybody's life. So we had an opportunity to remove that stress. Just like you guys are not just educating kids, you guys have an opportunity to move the world by empowering and educating the future leaders. You guys have an opportunity to give parents confidence in their kids' futures. You give kids confidence in their educations. So just like we have a vision to make a difference when it comes to our moving and hauling services, what is the vision in your respective local market that you want to achieve and that you want to have ultimately realized? So you have to start with a vision. You start with a vision of where you're going, and then you work backwards to the present to make it a reality. So start thinking about what is the future in your business? What does your business look like, feel like, act like 3 years from now? And if you start to think about that in your own local market, and you're able to communicate it and make it very clear and definitive as to what you envision your business and where you envision it going, now all of a sudden, when you tell that vision to your employees, to your tutors, to your clients, to your customers, to your students, they're going to want to help make that vision a reality. It's not just you anymore that's trying to work in the business to make it a reality. It's the people that you're working with that want to make it a reality as well. And ultimately for us, it was to have a big forest of money trees, and that's why we franchised our business. We sold franchises so that ultimately we could have people developing the College Hunks model within their local markets and, creating a brand that was national that could help make that vision a reality. And the only way to do that, again, is to have those systems, working on your business, not in it. Now, I want to tell you guys, when we started our business, we started with just an idea. That was the seed, back to the money tree analogy. When you guys started your business, it's as if you went out to Home Depot and bought a 4-foot tree that was already healthy and growing and just planted it in your front yard and just had to give it the environment and conditions to grow. That's the benefit. That's the value of joining a franchise network. That's what you all did. So you didn't have to go through all the trial and error and headache and challenge of creating systems. We didn't have, when we started our business, a call center. We didn't have marketing systems. We didn't have a brand. We had to create all of that from scratch. As a franchise owner, you guys are starting at third base. You just have to get to home plate. It's like getting the baton handed to you halfway through the relay race. So you should feel very confident that you guys have the tools and the systems at your disposal, already there, and all the peers around you that you can lean on to help you guys become successful business owners. Who here has had a lemonade stand when they were a little kid, or has kids who have done a lemonade stand? Of course, it's kind of, that first experience as a business owner. When you're a little kid, you do something entrepreneurial. So this is actually my sister and I, when we were about 6 years old, we did a lemonade stand together. Yeah, that's me, cool kid. And that's our lemonade stand. And I don't know if you can read the sign on the bike. It's a little bit blurry, but it says lemonade $1 or 25 cents. Now, the reason the sign says that is because my sister wanted to charge 25 cents for lemonade, and I wanted to charge $1 for lemonade. And so we agreed that we would put on the sign $1 or 25 cents. And now, needless to say, the look on the neighbors' faces when they walked by or drove by was a little bit puzzled when they would look at this almost competing lemonade stands or two competing prices. And of course, who do you guys think made more money that first day that people came around and bought lemonade? $1. $1. And the lesson, that was actually probably my first lesson in business, which I still adhere to today. People's buying decisions are based on emotion, not logic. People's buying decisions are based on emotion, not logic. They justify it using logic and reasoning. They make their second and third purchase based on the experience they had after the first purchase. So the next weekend when people came by and they saw these competing lemonade stands, they realized very quickly it was the exact same lemonade. It's not like I was using fresh lemons or putting more sugar in mine. So then they bought more lemonade for my sister. They wised up very quickly. But, when we started College Hunks Hauling Junk, we had a catchy name, bright colors, fun logo. And we were charging more than, Bob with his pickup truck on the corner was charging because we thought we had a better service, a better product. But ultimately, and people were calling our number and using our service early on. But ultimately, after the first experience with our company, they were like, wait a minute, this is no different than Bob with the pickup truck. I'm going to use him next time. So in your business, how can you be a premium service provider that provides a better experience, a better service for your clients where they're going to go out of their way, where they're going to line up to pay more than the Craigslist tutor or the independent tutor in your community? Think about that. So image is not the only thing. The brand is great. The wrapped vehicle, very important. It gets people to pay attention. It gets people to take notice. But you need to figure out how can you make price irrelevant in your business? How can you figure out a way to charge more for your tutoring services in your community than those of your competitors and have people still want to do business with you? I'll follow that up with one more example. What's the difference between a 7-Eleven cup of coffee and a Starbucks cup of coffee? $4, $7. And some people might say taste. In a blind taste test, I've done this with some of my employees. In a blind taste test, some people have actually said they think the 7-Eleven coffee tastes better than the Starbucks coffee. So why? Why would people line up religiously, daily, to go pay $4 or $5 more for a Starbucks cup of coffee? Snob appeal, experience, maybe. Absolutely. In my opinion, it's the experience. You walk into Starbucks, it's warm, it's welcoming, it smells pretty good. They got free Wi-Fi. They got a fancy person behind the counter. It's called a barista. If you want to order a small, medium, or large, you got to order a tall, venti, or grande, right? I'm not sure what order that is, but it's something fancy. You get the whipped cream with the little drizzle of caramel on top. The name of the drinks are fancy. And you can sit and have a cup of coffee with a colleague or a friend or a neighbor or whatever. You walk into 7-Eleven, it's a little bit of a different type of experience, right? It smells like Lysol. Or mixed with hot dogs, right? And you want to get out as quickly as you came in. So, you hear the CEO of Starbucks talk, and he says, Starbucks is not in the coffee business. We're in the business of creating an environment outside of the home where people can gather and convene with friends and colleagues. And so if you think about what business you're really in, it may not necessarily be the tutoring business. What you guys are really in the business of, in my opinion, just from knowing your businesses as little as I do, is, again, giving parents confidence in the future of their kids, giving kids confidence in their own futures, in their academic future, and creating a world where our youth is educated and can carry on the future of our world. That's pretty powerful, in my opinion. So, who here has, anybody here read the book Purple Cow by Seth Godin? I see one hand up. This book was very influential in our business. Imagine if you guys are driving down a country road, you see a field full of brown cows, you're not going to take much notice, right? But if all of a sudden you see a purple cow sitting in that field, you're going to pull over and take notice. That's pretty remarkable. You're going to take pictures of it. You're going to tweet it or put it on Instagram or Facebook. You're going to tell your friends and neighbors about it. And I'm not just telling this story because your guys' colors are purple, but think about how can you be the purple cow in your industry? How can you stand out from such a crowded, competitive industry with so many other types of tutoring services that are out there? How can you be the different provider in your community that make people take notice and, again, make people want to talk about it? What experiences can you provide in your community that make it memorable that they're going to want to go refer you to everybody else? So you need to figure out how to provide an experience that creates loyalty, not only from the client, but also the community. I put the steak on the slide here because you got to have a little bit of sizzle, which is the brand. That's your colors, that's your name, that's the story, but you got to have steak. That's the experience. So what is the experience that your students are having, that your students' parents are having, that the teachers and tutors that you work with are having when they work with your business? What's the experience that they're having that's going to want them to go recommend you to their friends and neighbors to get you more business? Who here watches the show Shark Tank? Anybody? Show of hands if anybody saw my episode. I was on the very first episode of the very first season, and I'll tell you guys the story about that. We weren't actually pitching College Hunks Hauling Junk, believe it or not. We were pitching a sister company. We wanted to call it College Foxes Packing Boxes. So, do you think the Sharks invested? Actually, they offered us an investment, believe it or not. Rob Herjavec, the guy on the far end, offered us an investment. Mr. Wonderful called us pigs, by the way. Rob Herjavec offered us an investment, but he wanted a percentage of College Hunks. And at the time, we weren't ready to give up equity in this business. So, they were smart investors. We were stubborn, entrepreneurs, so we turned down the deal. But believe it or not, we actually tried to start College Foxes Packing Boxes on our own. And it did flop, as you might expect. It was a better idea on a, beer napkin, bar napkin than in practice. But one thing I did learn from that experience is it was a huge distraction. Not only did that business flop, but our core business, College Hunks Hauling Junk, struggled significantly as we were trying to launch this additional business. Now, I come to a lot of these types of conferences for entrepreneurs, business owners. That's how I know Frank. And I heard a speaker once come up and talk, and he said, you can't ride more than one bicycle I used that analogy with my accountant one time. I told him, well, I told him you can't ride more than one horse at the same time. And he's like, well, unless you have a chariot, then you could have two horses. And, but of course, if one horse is a donkey and the other is a Clydesdale, the chariot's going to topple over, which is probably what happened with the College Foxes idea. But as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we tend to have a little bit of ADD built in us. And what I call ADD as an entrepreneur stands for all damn day. You can't turn it off. It just, your head keeps moving. A new shiny idea comes up and you want to chase it, and you got another idea to make some money over here, and you want to test that out over here. And it's a classic tendency. But the most successful business owners that I've ever met have this very diligent focus, and they focus on being the best at one thing. They focus on being the best at something specific. So, it's good if you're going to maybe launch other business lines or launch other businesses. But if you're going to do that, you need to have somebody or, a resource dedicated to launching that to help it be successful. You can't do 1,000 things at once, or you're going to be digging a whole bunch of, small little holes and not going deeper. You're going to be a mile wide and an inch deep in that case. So think about what it is that you're going to be the best at, and if obviously, in your cases, it's the Tutor Doctor franchise that you guys are going to focus on. So don't let big, shiny distractions derail you from your vision that you have for your Tutor Doctor business. In terms of the skills that I wish I had learned when I was growing up, that I hadn't learned as a student, leadership, number one. Leadership first and foremost. And leadership is not about giving directives to people. Leadership is just about having an inspirational vision that you can communicate to your team to help them want to make it a reality. Sales is extremely important. And I've got the picture of the shiesty snake oil salesman, but that's really not what sales is about. Sales gets a bad rap. Sales gets a stigma because we think of the, used car salesman that's kind of shifty and trying to rip people off. That's not what we're doing in our businesses, where we're actually helping people with what it is that we offer. People are afraid of sales. People are afraid to go out and sell to people because we're afraid of being told no. But if you think about it, you're not selling, you're helping. And what it is that you guys offer helps a lot of people. And when you're helping somebody, you're doing something for someone. When you're selling, you're doing something to someone. So think about, in your business, when you get home, how many people in your community can you impact, can you help by going out and telling them about how you can help them and how you can help them improve their test scores, how you can help them improve their education. Of course, the customer service is very crucial. I've got the picture of the football player sucking oxygen, because cash in a business is like oxygen to a human being. So if you're not able to manage your cash flow, understand your financial statements, and I know you guys did a financial boot camp earlier today, it's going to be a very important skill to have as a business owner as you look to grow your business. And of course, problem solving. Stuff comes up, challenges come up. You're going to have complaints that you're going to have to figure out how to deal with very quickly. Now, I didn't just put this slide up here because I think it's a cute slide. Obviously, the slide here is very important because you're not going to get anywhere sitting on the couch drinking beer, watching TV, right? And I come to a lot of these conferences as sitting in your seats, learning, trying to absorb as much as I possibly can. And the truth is, within the 48 hours after you leave the conference, you pretty much forget everything that you learned. So if you don't actually take action and put into motion some of the things that you learned here as soon as you get home, a lot of it's going to be lost. You're going to have felt good, you're going to be motivated and excited, but some of the things that you wrote down in the sessions, some of the takeaways are going to disappear. A couple of things I want to just highlight that I think, you guys work with students, so these may be worth mentioning if you ever identify students that have entrepreneurial tendencies, because these are books that I wish I had read when I was in college, or I should say even in high school, that I didn't read till after we started the business. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, E-Myth by Michael Gerber, Purple Cow I already mentioned. I'll give a plug for my book, Effortless Entrepreneur. And we all know that there's nothing effortless about being an entrepreneur, but if you think about the best artists, if you think about the best athletes, the best entertainers, They put a lot of work into their craft, but when they're performing, they make it appear effortless because they're in the zone, they're in the flow. And I know you guys have had days where you've maybe worked a 15-hour day and you weren't even tired at the end of it because you were just running on adrenaline, running on excitement. You know, you had the client calls, you had the tutor meetings, you had the customer meeting, you had a B&I meeting, and, you know, at the end of the day, you're doing your books and you're still kind of amped up and pumped up. And that's really what feeling effortless as an entrepreneur is all about. But books are very valuable and very important. You can never stop sharpening the saw. They're I would say, the highest return on investment you can make in yourself. Because a $10, $15, $20 book can give you the next idea to take your business to the next level, $1 million business. I want to tell a quick analogy as I'm wrapping up here, or a quick story, rather. This is a guy, he's a rapper, Jay-Z. Who here has heard of this guy? A few of you, okay. He's married to Beyonce, if you didn't know that. So I was giving a talk at a college one time, and I put this slide up, and there was probably about 200 college students in the room, and I told, the students, hey, guys, everybody know who this is, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, that's Jay-Z. And I said, well, good news, guys. I said, I put a call into Jay-Z, and I want everybody to look to the back of the room, because here he is. And, of course, the college students' eyes lit up. They all simultaneously looked to the back of the room. Jay-Z wasn't there, by the way. And they all looked back with not so much happiness that they had on their face when they turned the first time. It was more like kind of pissed off at me. And the reason I told them this is I was like, hey, guys, we've all heard this before, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. And they knew that. They knew that as much. And I said, but here's the problem. See, I know Jay-Z. I know Jay-Z. But Jay-Z doesn't know me. So it's not who you know, it's who knows you that really matters in your community, in your business, in your network groups. So it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And I know this, business is a referral-based game. It's about networking, it's about connecting, it's about making connections, it's about getting known, it's about getting yourself known. So when you think about going back into your community, if you're in chamber events, if you're in B&I or lead share groups, how can you connect with the influential groups and referral partners in your community that can help refer you more business, that can help refer you more opportunities to get more clients, get more students? So I'll put my contact information at the end, but obviously I'd be happy to know all of you, so I'll make sure I put my contact information at the end if you guys want to connect with me on any of the social networks or, read up about our business. So as I wrap up here, I want to kind of close with this thought once again. As you leave here at this conference, you're going to have a lot of ideas. We do our annual conference just like you guys. We have our franchisees all there. I go to conferences all the time, and when I leave the conferences, it's like drinking from a fire hose, right? You feel like overwhelmed with all the stuff that you have to do when you get home. And it's a little bit anxiety-ridden. So what I would encourage you to do is take some time, whether it's on the plane ride home, whether it's in your hotel room when you get a break, and just start writing down a list of your priorities that you've taken away, a list of your takeaways from this conference, and then try to prioritize them in order of impact. If you were going to graph what you learned and the action items that you learned on a chart, the x-axis is time and money. The y-axis is impact on your business. So the x-axis is time and money. The y-axis is impact on your business. Chart those ideas on that chart in terms of, how much stuff is going to cost you, how much is going to, impact your business. The low cost, high impact, those are no-brainers. You do those first. The high cost, high impact, those are longer term projects. Those are things you're going to do over time. You're going to allocate some resources. The low impact stuff, forget about it. Put that at the bottom of the list. You're not going to worry about that. And then when you get home, take maybe one day off so you can kind of get your mind back into the flow of things. And before you dive back into the day-to-day routine and working in your business, spend some time, carve out some time the next week to make sure that you're working on your business with some of the things that you took away, with some of the things that you put on the chart. So the bias for action, what are you going to do? Ideas mean nothing without action. So with that, your only homework assignment when you guys get home from here is to take action on something that you learned. I forgot one thing. I did bring a couple copies of my book, Effortless Entrepreneur. And so before I wrap up, I have one copy up here that I'm giving away. Who wants it? Anybody can have it. Anybody at all. Anybody whatsoever. Anybody at all. Oh, wow, that was impressive. Woo! Give her a round of applause. Good job, good job. Wow, that was almost like a collision right here by the steps. That was going to be a dangerous thing. She boxed you out. Oh, man. The reason I did that, I wanted to do that as just an example. You know, what did she do? She took action. You know, I heard somebody say this once, because I know when I first said, you know, who wants it, everybody's hand went up. Yeah, I'll take a free book. And I said, well, anybody can have it. You guys kind of started looking around with like, well, what is he getting at? How do I get it? You saw a few people kind of start to get up, and a couple people ran. I heard a really successful person say once, in order to have the things that other people don't, you have to be willing to do the things that other people won't. And so, you know, she jumped up, didn't care what it looked like, wasn't sure for sure if she could snatch it from me, and this gentleman did as well. By the way, I normally also say that it is, you know, beneficial to sit towards the front of the room as well when you're in these conferences, but she came from, you know, towards the back, so that dispelled that one as well. But I do have a couple extra copies of my book I'm happy to sell if you guys are interested. They're $15. And I've got some information as well. If you know anybody in your communities that might be interested in a College Hunks franchise, we're definitely interested in that. We'll pay you guys $5,000 if you refer us to that person, and they end up joining on board. So we have some information about our franchise opportunity as well. And I guess I'll open it up to questions. But thank you guys very much for being here this evening. We're a very value-based organization. So we have 4 core values that we believe in, and we say that our core values are building leaders. So primarily it starts with our frontline employees. Our frontline employees are not junk haulers and movers. They're future leaders. They're guys and girls that want to learn and grow and look at our company as a stepping stone for them to learn skills like sales, customer service, marketing, problem solving. They treat their trucks when they go out every day as if it's their own small business. So we empower our frontline staff, and I think that gives us a little bit of a different type of employee that our customers can then connect with emotionally. They have, you know, they identify with the college guy that's coming in to do the work, that's, you know, working through school, but not just working to move and haul stuff. They actually want to make a difference. So that's one key piece of it. Our branding is another core value of ours, and it's, you know, about standing out. It's kind of the purple cow. Our name, it causes a reaction. People chuckle. People have a laugh when they hear it, when they see the colors. It stands out, so that differentiates us. And then the customer service philosophy. I'll tell a quick story. We had an employee who was doing a move at an assisted living community, and he ended up the elevator got stuck, and there was an elderly woman in the elevator. And she was having trouble standing, and the employee, the young man, actually got on his hands and knees and let her sit on his back for about an hour and a half as the elevator was being fixed. And, you know, you can't put that in a training manual. And lucky for us, or I guess fortunately for us, one of the other staff guys had a camera phone, took a picture of it. We just put it up on our Facebook because we thought it was cute, and it ended up going viral. It got picked up by, you know, first the local news, and then it was on Aaron Burnett out front. We had the Ellen Show contact us about it. And it was just one small gesture, but those are the types of guys and girls that we hire in our company to go do moving and hauling. So it's really, I think, about creating a more memorable, stress-relieving experience that I think separates us.
Are you all hunks?
Yes. No. You can join the screening panel. How about that? No. Actually, to give our company a more inclusive hiring ability, we came up with a more inclusive definition for Hunks. We made it into an acronym. We tell people that Hunks stands for honest, uniformed, nice, knowledgeable service. So it's more than just the brawn and the good looks. It's also got to be the brain and the service aptitude to go along with it. And I will mention one quick thing before we go to the next question. I'm sure all of you guys are very focused on customer service. Customer service is not common sense. It has to be trained. I'm sure all of you guys have been on the great receiving end of customer service. You've probably been on the receiving end of bad customer service. But you got to be able to train your people in customer service. You can't just expect them to know how to deliver a great experience. So you have to design what does your customer experience look like, and then make sure your staff understands it and can, practice it, celebrate it, talk about it. Yes.
Hi, I actually watched the program when you were in Dragon's Den before Shark Tank, right? Around 2008, 2009. And you were offered 200, 500,000 or something like that?
Yes.
And it actually made an impression. I remember really well when I watched the program live at that time, because you were pitching the Fox one, and this guy was coming back to the holding junk, and he made you an offer, and you didn't hesitate. You just went like, that's it, no? Like, no? And you didn't think about it. You just knew that. And you didn't even try to negotiate. You didn't go like, no, give me 4 times more. What was going on in your mind? Like, what did you have as vision of what you were building? Why you just didn't even consider it?
Well, I think at the time, and we all have to remember to some degree, it was for television. So it was, there's elements of reality, but there's elements of, production that takes place as well. What they chopped down to a 5 or 10 minute segment for those shows really is more like an hour and a half of back and forth. So, we probably did have, at least in hindsight, I remember we did have some more back and forth. But to be honest with you, at the time, we didn't go on expecting to pitch them our existing business. We were just trying to pitch them on this, cool, fun, new idea that we thought we had that could work. And so they made the right decision when they asked for equity and this to be sort of collateral, but we ended up turning it down because we hadn't even thought about it or considered giving up equity. We were so, on the mindset of, growing our business organically.